Do you feel drained, listless, or exhausted from the daily burdens and responsibilities? Why not seek our campus ministers on air every Tuesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon? Listen to our counselors from the Loyola School's Campus Ministry Office as they ground our lives in our faith, in our school's spiritual tradition. Campus Ministers on Air. Be guided, be inspired, be blessed. Listen to our Campus Ministers on Air. Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM. We are now on YouTube. Watch all of our live episodes plus exclusive content in our channel at radyo-katipunan FM. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get the latest updates.
Just with Music Ministry, your daily dose of inspiration. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. We are also on iTunes and Deezer.
Let us understand mental health and explore how we can take care of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Welcome to your weekly slice of mental health tips and tidbits with Pat and B, here on Mind Ed.
Sa'yo sumisilong kapag ang puso ko'y pagod.
Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM. This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, radyo, katipunan.
To listen to music that uplifts the soul, follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. Our music is also available on iTunes and Deezer.
Welcome to The Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down! Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle ng Manila, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral, at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Simbolo ng Kagalingan. Ako si Risa Singson Kaupeng, book author and editor. Magkapit pandasal muna tayo. Ang simbolo ng kalusugan at medisina ay ang rod of Asclepius. Ito ang mahabang kahoy at ahas na nakikita natin sa mga kahon ng gamot, reseta ng doktor, at pati sa logo ng World Health Organization. Sa Greek mythology, si Asclepius kasi ang Diyos ng kagalingan. Sa aklat ng mga bilang, tinuklaw ng mga nakakamandag na ahas ang mga Israelita at sila'y nangamatay. Upang sila'y maligtas, gumawa si Moises ng tanso na ahas na nakakabit sa mahabang kahoy ayon sa utos ni Yahweh. Kapag ang may sakit ay tumingin sa tansong ahas ni Moises, siya'y gumagaling. Ito ay hudyat ng mangyayari sa bagong tipan pagdating ni Jesus. Ang mahabang kahoy ay ang krus, at si Jesus na siyang pinako dito ang siyang magdadala ng kagalingan sa lahat na tumitingala sa Kanya. Naniniwala ako na maraming paraan na ginagamit ng Diyos upang pagalingin tayo. Ang teknolohiya ng medisina at mga gamot ay ilan sa mga ginagamit niya. Dahil kahit gaano kadami ang pera mo upang bilhin ang pinakamahal na gamot, hindi ito magiging mabisa kung walang kapangyarihan ng Diyos na pagalingin ang ating mga katawan. Kailangan nating bumaling sa Kanya para sa ating pagaling. Tayo magdasal. Jesus, Ikaw ang dakilang manggagamot. Hipuin mo ang mga parte ng katawan kong nangangailangan ng iyong paggaling. Amen.
Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. The voice of the eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, katipunan. Radyo, radyo, katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugod. Todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiting at tigil.
No, we can share it in the chat box. And also, if you still have questions that we can later address during the open forum. Now, we move on to our next special guest. No? From Bukidnon, we move to Cebu. At kasama po natin ngayong umaga ay si Maria Tessa Lusica o si Tetet. Isa po siyang program coordinator at Dilaab Foundation. At ang programa po nila ay tinatawag na Labang, no? For people who use drugs, who are drug dependents in Cebu. Labang is short for Lahat Bangon. No? It is a faith-impelled, volunteer-driven, community-based drug recovery and reintegration program. So ngayon ibabahagi sa atin ni Tetet ang karanasan niya, no, sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan nating mga kapatid na nalulong sa masamang bisyo, na nalulong sa droga, no? And how this can be an alternative, no, to how the government has been responding to the drug problem. So Tetet, take it away.
Thank you very much, Brother Bok. And once again, thank you so much for John J. Carroll Institute and also Simbahan Likod ng Bayan and the entire um, Jesuit community for inviting us here and for this opportunity to be able to share our story here in Cebu. I'm very happy and blessed to be here, just like what Sai mentioned. No? Thank you so much. Yes, as mentioned earlier by Brother Bok, I am part of a program for drug rehabilitation. It's called Labang. And so Labang in our dialect in Cebuano, it means to cross over. And lahat bangon or together we rise. So basically that's what we're trying to reach at. No, we rehabilitate together. To give you a background, our program started in 2016. Let me share also my screen. Nakikita niyo na po ba to?
Yes, we could.
Okay. Thank you. So our program started in 2016. If we remember the war on drugs. So at that time, ang daming tinutukhang. So the tuktokhang yo. So a lot of people or there were a lot of surrenderies. So that time, the barangays or LGUs were overwhelmed kung ano nang gagawin sa mga surrenderies. And it was at that point when one barangay captain, Captain Ernie Manatad of Barangay Subang Dako in Mandaue, Cebu City, approached Father Carmelo Diola, the founder also of Dilaa Foundation. And then that's the time he said na ano nang gagawin natin dito. So they started to collaborate, not just the parish and the barangay. So it was a group effort no ng UBAS, or we call the Ugnayan ng Barangay at Simbahan. At the same time with PNP, PDEA, DOH, and other volunteers. So may mga parish volunteers at meron ding mga church volunteers. So lahat nagtutulungan. So ano ba yung reality of the people who are into drugs or the people here in Labang? So most of them belong to Class D and E families. And first, we have to understand that they are victims of addiction. So yung reason nila for starting drugs may be varied. Some of them because of peer pressure, some of them family problems, and the saddest reality, which is a bit common, many of them go into drugs because to be able to work longer hours. You know, we have our taxi drivers, we have night shift workers, we have garbage collectors, so that they cannot mind the stink, they have to take drugs. And because drug is addictive and it affects the brain, it's relapsing, they fall into that cycle. Yung paisa-isa napapadami na, they would need more and more. So, they get addicted to it. So, nalululong na, and it affects their brain, it affects the way they handle their emotions, it affects their behavior already. So, in the end, they become problems to their families, to their society. So anong nangyayari? They get stigmatized a lot. So aside na yung kapamilya nila, minumura na sila, yung kahit papa sila or sila yung nagbibigay for the family pero minumura na sila ng kanilang mga anak, ng kanilang asawa. And it spreads not just in the family, they get very much stigmatized also by their neighbors. So that's what they face, no? Every time they hear being ostracized by their family and neighbors, they also do it to themselves. So they feel very lowly of themselves. Kasi yun yung palaging naririnig nila from others. So in the end, parang self-fulfilling prophecy. Talagang salot talaga ako. So, pag narinig nilang salot sila sa lipunan, parang naniniwala na din sila deep inside that they are. So, that's the reality. They're addicted. At the same time, they feel very lowly of themselves because that's what they get from the family, from society, and even from their own self. And despite that, despite being addicted, despite being stigmatized, they are mostly breadwinners. So they have the need to provide for the family. So kaya nag-work sila longer hours. Pero kung naging bulakbol na sila sa kanilang trabaho and they are addicted to drugs already, that's why the temptation of selling is also very real. And dealing with pushers is also very different from just dealing with users. So that's the reality on the ground. Or that's what we are dealing with, the problems faced by recovering drug dependence. So what are we doing? First of all, because it's addictive, that's why when it started, we really tried to make it into a daily program. So every day talaga, when it started, it was even 8 hours per day, but it moved to about 4 to 6 hours per day. So every day talaga siya para to conquer or to address yung addictive behavior. So yung dati, if every day natitempt sila to use drugs, now that they have a program to attend to, makonquer nila yan kasi they need to be in the program. So para siyang challenging themselves on a daily basis na at least for today, hindi ako makakagamit kasi I am in the program. So yun yung idea. We have it daily and we have different activities. So for example, one is this one. I will show here. This is Lectio Divina or divine reading. So this is introducing them to the gospel. But of course, before we try to do that, we have to review basic catechism kasi a lot of them, when they start going to the program, when we ask, sinong nagsisimba? Sinong marunong mag Our Father or mag Hail Mary? Parang isa or dalawang kamay lang ayong nakikita. So we have to start with catechism, again, basic catechism before we go into Lectio Divina. And then also we try to do some psycho-emotional, social, spiritual activities. And these are not only done by our organization because it's ubas na framework and it's localized. So if may mga religious organizations or yung mga FLA organizations sa lugar, sila yung tinatap namin din para would organize activities for them. So what you see in the picture, for example, there is recollection and then other daily activities also that they can do together. So that's really on a daily basis, yung pre-pandemic. Pero ngayong pandemic, we adjust, kahit hindi siya daily, may mga 3 times a day yung nag-start na sa 2021. Then we also involve them with church activities. For example, the one that you will see on the left, when they experience washing of the feet, grabe talaga yung impact for them. Kasi, di ba sinabi nila na, di ba parang they felt how it is na parang sila yung siniserve yung time ni Jesus na parang no one is righteous enough na hindi siya pwedeng ma-forgive ni Jesus, no. So yung experience nila na winash yung feet nila, grabe talaga na touch yung mga puso ng ating mga clients. Then we also involve them in community activities. For example, barangay cleanup, river cleanup. And during this pandemic, when before, kung may mga disasters in the area, for example, sunog, yung mga tao, they are very cautious of the clients, or mga yung sabi nila, ay ito, nagda-drugs to, kasi sila yung unang nagre-respond to get things. Pero ngayon sila na yung tinatawag para tumulong. And even during the pandemic, when people were too scared to go out, many of them were the ones helping the community. Even yung nagsanitize ng mga barangay, sila na yung pwedeng tawagan or pwedeng tawagan ng mga barangay captains to help. So they have really changed so much, no? And it also inspires us very much. And then also, which is very important for us and for them, is yung rest and recreation with clients and volunteers. So the spirit of being together, di ba sabi, they are very much stigmatized, but when in the program, when they are with their newfound friends together on a daily basis, they feel a new connection, not just with the clients, but also with the volunteers. And that's when they slowly open up, because they start to feel, ang ganda pala if may mga friends who are not using, but they just accept us for who we are. So the spirit of being together and being accepted, and not just in the program, but when we go out. So for example, the one on the left, we went to a shopping mall, and then we did arcade and we ate together, and then ito nag-beach, tapos yung sa baba nag-basketball yan, si Dondon Ontiveros yan, kasama nila nagba-basketball, tapos si Father Melo. So yung parang family and friends na lang talaga yung feel. Grabe yung effect for them, kasi yung sabi nila, ang ganda pala ng feeling na i-trust ulit, kasi trustworthy naman pala kami. So they will start to feel trustworthy because people start to trust them. So seeing that in them inspires us to work more for them. And so to cap the activities, ito talaga yung pinaka parang soul of what we're doing. May isang writer, he said, si Johann Hari, he said that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is human connection. It could be just a quote or something, but when what we experience in Labang, we saw it in reality, that truly their need to use and their need to give themselves that temporary high can be erased when they feel truly connected with another human being. And it's very it's more effective for them. I think giving them acceptance and love, it's more effective for them. So that's what we felt during the entire time. To give you a to give you an example, or to show you an example of changed lives for our Labangers. Here we can see father and son. So they were both into drugs, but they were never together because hindi, parang nahihiya din si ama at nahihiya din si anak na they will be together, but they were into drugs. But now they are clean and sober for 4 years already. and they are reunited with the family. So they have many challenges, no? So they were left by the family, by the mama, but now they're together and they're happily together. Next, we have this. If you can see him here on the left side. So grabe din yung napagdaanan niya, to the point na may psychosis na siya, na hinahabol siya ng helicopter. So ganyang level na. Pero ngayon, look at him now. This time, he was sharing his story to about 1,000 elementary, high school, and junior high school students in USJR. This one is in Ateneo de Cebu. And he even had the chance to meet Miss Venus Ra for one event. So grabe yung difference na kanyang and eto din, from another barangay. So, eto siya dati. Ngayon, he's working for the fire department. He started as a volunteer after he moved up sa program. Because of his performance, he was asked by the kuan what kind of job would he want to do, and he said fire volunteer. So he tried that, and now he's working full time as a fire fighter. And then finally, we have a lady. So she was into drugs and also her husband. But now she's finding purpose and meaning in her family together. Wala nang, they have been clean and sober. And she is helping in a COVID facility in Mandaue City right now. So those stories, they inspire us a lot. On the outskirt, it might look now we are the ones helping them, but actually no, they inspire us so much. And okay, so people will ask me, why are you in this ministry? So they think, but I'm a lady and I'm quite ladylike. In my mind, in my imagination, or even in prayer, or in even thought, I never imagined to be that my mission. I love helping, but I never imagined that my mission will be with recovering drug dependence. But I feel called for this. I feel called for this. If I look back on how I got here, maybe I can go back to John 15:16. You did not choose me, but I chose you. So ito talaga, yung parang bitaw, no, I did not, parang if we converse to God, what kind of mission would you want for me? But yes, God will say, you did not choose me, but I chose you in such a field. So if I can share, back in 2017, there was a time I got into the program because of a church announcement, which my mom heard. And I did not hear it. It was my mom who went there, and then I tag along. I purposely did not want to be part of it, but somehow they kind of chose me to represent and go to the lab. And that's where it started, that I was crying already, that Lord, oh my gosh, I think this is it. I think I want to be part of this. So it just happened that way. And one time, but I still had another job that time as an HR officer in a company. So I was volunteering in the evening. So it was that for some time. And then Father Melo said that he was going to Our Lady of Fatima in Portugal in 2017. And he asked us to write our prayer petition. And that time, my prayer was, Lord, please help me find my, I cannot press it. Sorry. This one. Please help me find my ikigai. So ikigai is the Japanese concept of reason for being. So it's a combination of your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation. So it was my prayer na, Lord, sana I will find this, and sana the youth in today's world will find also their ikigai, not just finding jobs nga with give them money, but also like it's also what the world needs. So that was my prayer. And 2 years after, I'm now really fully part of the Laab Foundation. So I quit my job, I left it, and I'm here, and I'm happily here doing this full time. And yes, on the question of what can we do also, no, not just only for recovering drug dependence, but also in each of our communities, what can be done. So this one, um, it's ASPD. First, you can ask yourself, what can you do, or what are you willing to do? And maybe you can ask your parish or your LGUs, what are the avenues where you can also help? And then S is search your personal why. Why do you want to help? And you can search online for opportunities to help also. And then pray about it. Listen if it's what really God is calling you to do. And then lastly, just do it. So ASPD, you ask, you search, you pray, and just do it. That's it for me, I think, Brother Bok. So thank you so much for your time, for listening.
Maraming salamat, Tetet, for inspiring us today, for sharing your story, your vocation, your mission. It truly moved us as you are moved, no, in sharing it with us this morning. And what comes to mind is really the work of drug rehabilitation is a work of restoring dignity. And it's being able, no, to uplift people by accompanying them, no, samahan sila doon sa proseso ng paghilom ng mga sugat. And again, what you've said, no, making personal connections that can defeat the addiction. So maraming salamat. And now I invite again our participants both on Facebook and also on Zoom. Please, no, share your insights, your realizations, and if you still have questions for Tetet, you can still chat them, put them in our chat box. So lastly, our third and last speaker, of course, we have Sir Ray Laguda of the Philippine Business for Social Progress. PBSP is a business-led non-government organization committed to poverty reduction by promoting business sector leadership in and commitment to programs that lead to self-reliance. It creates sustainable solutions to societal problems in its core program areas, which are health, education, environment, livelihood, and enterprise development. So let us now listen to Sir Ray. Kuya Ray, take it
Brother Bob,
away po.
thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes po.
Yes. Maraming salamat para sa imbitasyon na magbahagi. Nakakatuwa actually sila Sai at sila Tetet. Sinasabi ko kanina kila Brother Bok, siguro ako yung, pagkatapos ng dalawa, ako yung kinatawan ng male middle-aged segment of the population. First, I'd like to say, can you see my presentation?
Yes, Sir Ray.
So first, I'd like to say that it is a great honor to be invited to share my personal and my organization's experience to an audience of dedicated development and pastoral workers. I can see the names in the participants list. I see some former professors, some colleagues, some friends, and many other people, and it's really such an honor to be here. Truth be told, I feel a little embarrassed that I have not really read at heart the recent social encyclical of our Pope Francis, Fratelli Tutti. Sa madalit sabi, kinakabahan po ako. But I will instead humbly offer my experience, not as gospel truth, but as possible food for thought or pabaon sa pagninilay for everyone. So I begin with the backdrop of the pandemic that we currently face, on top of so many troubling and jolting social issues. we are also dealing with health and economic issues. The pandemic, as we all know and experience, has had a direct impact on organizations, communities, families, and individuals. The effect has also been radiating from one community to another, from one organization to another, from one person to another. Talagang kumakalat at nakakahawa ang epekto ng pandemya at ng krisis. If I may add, it is also compounding for many sectors of our society who have already been suffering prior to the pandemic for many different reasons. This pandemic has actually compounded the effects. We also find ourselves shuffling back and forth from relief to recovery. We cannot seem to get out of our rut definitively because it is a prolonged crisis. Hindi siya minsanan, no? It's a continuing crisis. Sometimes we get hit again and again and again. Worse is that not everyone has something saved for a rainy day. We all have different levels of preparedness and readiness. Hindi talaga pantay-pantay. May nagsabi nga, we are in the same storm but on different boats. And when we try to bounce back and move forward for ourselves, our families, communities, or organizations, we realize that the road ahead is not that visible and clear. It is very difficult to plan and prepare for a future that we cannot even imagine. This is, in a way, what survival mode is all about, living for the here and now without any idea of what tomorrow brings. The crisis may have also brought about opportunities, though, to actually do better, to change, to grow, or even to have a second chance. For families, this became an opportunity to spend more time together. Many dove into learning new skills and competencies. Some took full advantage of the benefits of going online and digital. I would warn, though, that many more are excluded and out of the loop. Some problems, such as domestic violence and abuse, inequality, discrimination, may have even worsened. So, with this kind of backdrop, what has been our COVID response? We had the opportunity to mobilize and act. We knew we couldn't just sit and watch. Working in tandem with excellent partners and movers, we organized a campaign to help the most vulnerable and affected by the pandemic called Bayanihan Musikahan. You may have heard of this or may have participated in this. Performing artists sang online via Facebook every day as we raised funds for food relief, health assistance, and other forms of support for the homeless, vulnerable families in lockdown, and even our frontliners. We had to reach out to community partners, old and new, and explore how assistance could be made. We needed to think through removing roadblocks and take on a problem-solving mindset. Given the difficulties of the lockdown and health risks, even our own people had difficulty going out and implementing these programs. But we took calculated risks to get things done. We had to trust our partners. And let me proudly share that of the more than 121,000 families that we supported, not a single food pack was lost or misplaced. We had to transact online with people and even those we had never met, and yet things went as smoothly as we could imagine. We achieved more than what we could raise. No help was so small, and we should never underestimate the power of the collective. So we were able to reach out not just to corporations, but even to individual donors who really found a way to help despite their own situation. We continue to assist in various forms that we hope is responsive to the needs of our partners. We realized that we had to push the engagement to go beyond humanitarian assistance and cognizant of the fact that we needed to do it in a manner that was truly inclusive. So if you look at all of the problems that we face from hunger, food insecurity to education discontinuity and so on, we needed to really figure out different kinds of interventions And we did this together with partners. We helped identify these programs together with the communities that we were working with, because we felt that inclusion is about jointly aspiring for and creating a better world where we can live together with respect for each other and for the world. So, what am I learning from this pandemic? Darkness and uncertainty cannot be the ending of this story. Hope will have to prevail. Hope stems from knowing that we are not alone. Hope stems from knowing that there are people who care around us. They are the frontliners, family members, church workers, NGO workers, honest public servants, and people like you. And I feel that it is important that we have to be in the world and not to withdraw from it. Find our relevance even in darkness. Instead of hiding, which is probably the easiest temptation that you could fall into when the pandemic began. Instead of hiding, let your own light shine. How do we do this? Reach out to others, whether you are the one in need or if you are the one who has the capacity to help somebody. Reach out and take a hand. Reach out to someone who is most affected and vulnerable. Pay attention to people who have no voice. Give them a platform to speak, and then when they speak, to listen carefully. When we reach out, when we take action, we are actually making investments. Investing one's resources, time, effort, attention, and care. By making these investments, we should also make sure that these investments have a certain return. And I use business parlance to explain this, but and I don't refer only to economic returns, but I refer also to social and community returns. Returns that flow back not just to you, but returns that flow equitably to others as well. May kasabihan, we reap what we sow. So this is similar to generating a return on your investment, and hopefully in a humane and equitable manner. Let us fight uncertainty by learning new competencies and skills. As the world becomes more complex, and you think this is probably as complex as it can get, I think it can just continue to be even more complex when I look at how my kids are growing and the things that they are learning online. I am very sure that it will become more complex. And we should not be afraid to learn. Learning isn't a one-time thing, because as the situation changes constantly, or what we call volatility, we must continue to adapt and to be agile. Build, build your foundations. As the times become more difficult, foundations serve to keep us steady and firm. It also helps us to stay grounded. While we embrace technology, for example, let us not forget the value of human beings and how we should fight against technology only leading to greater inequality. Finally, let us sustain ourselves, working hand in hand with others. Believe in the power of community, of collaboration, and of cooperation grounded on mutual trust, integrity, and respect. Kaya ko ginamit yung acronym na LABS, LABS. Learn, adapt, build, and sustain. Pero gawin natin ito kasabay ng iba, hindi lamang para sa ating sarili o para sa ating pamilya. Gawin natin ito kasabay ng iba, kasama at kasali ang kapwa at sama-sama. And as we do all of these, I will repeat that the call of our faith, which is to go beyond ourselves and to care for others. We are called to love, especially when it is most difficult, and it is actually difficult to do so. We are called to love, to stand with others, to hold hands, and journey together even in darkness. I I would like to end by saying that in my experience of having worked in corporate, in government, and in the NGO sector, I realized that being a very task-oriented, results-oriented person, we often think that we are moving towards a certain destination and a certain sense of accomplishment. But I also realized that the journey is equally important, and how we take that journey, how we conduct ourselves in that journey, and the people that we journey with are really very important as we live out our faith. And for me, that is probably what Fratelli Tutti reminds us about, is that journey of faith is a journey of solidarity, and that journey of faith is also a journey of humility, that we don't necessarily hold all the keys and the solutions to all of the problems. Maybe it's about listening, understanding, and paying attention to other people around us. Maraming salamat po and magandang umaga.
Thank you very much, Sir Ray, Kuya Ray, for your very inspiring words, no? And also the wisdom of just being able to gather all of the lessons of the pandemic so far, and for the work that PBSP has been doing, and for all the help that it has extended to our kababayans all over the Philippines. Maraming salamat po. Again, we would like to invite everyone to still type in the chat box, and also as comments their any questions or insights or realizations that they may have, and that can further enrich our discussion this morning. So at this point, we will proceed with our open forum, where we will try to address some of the questions that you've already posted. And we'll try to field the questions to our special guests, and hopefully we can address a lot of these questions, and can further enlighten us in the work that they do, and how also very much they're able to apply Fratelli Tutti in their respective ministries and missions. So simulan po natin ang mga tanong. There are some questions that were already posted. If we first proceed with, this is a question addressed to Sai. How do you create the balance between your ideal thought to the indigenous peoples and to their reality, personal values, attitude towards life and others?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Brother Bok, and thank you, Miss Ted and Sir Ray, for inspiring me too with your stories, and for the rest of the reactions from the chat box. And yes, for this question, that how do you create the balance between your ideal thought to the IPs and to the reality, and the personal values and attitude towards life? I remember when I decided to be a JVP. I was in Luzon, and I didn't know bakit pinili ko na sector ang IP ministry. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung realidad, no? Many years, 2 years ago, kung ano yung meron sa IP ministry. And by that time, yes, I have my ideal thought of who, or who are the IPs. But when I came here, and I started to journey with them, nawala yung ideal thought ko of who are the IPs in Bukidnon. Kaya for me, to be able to create the balance is to journey with them, isang tabi yung ideal natin na kung ano ang IPs. At more on makisalbayat at makipamuhay sa kanila para mas lubos silang maunawaan. Hindi kailangan i-impose kung ano yung kung ano yung sa tingin natin na dapat ang IP o ano sila sa tingin nila. But it's really more on leveling up with them. It's more on sila yung pakinggan sila yung tingnan kung saan sila nanggagaling. Ano yung hugot ng personal values, ng mga attitude nila towards life, paano nila tinitingnan yung buhay sa loob at sa labas man ng komunidad. So the root word for me there is really to live with them. No, yun yung nagbibigay ng balance para sa akin. For the past 2 years, and I guess that's also the reason why I decided to stay with them. Dahil nakita ko na hindi naman yung ako, kundi yung sila ang mas mahalaga sa pakikilakbay na ito. So, yun, I hope I was able to answer your question, Ate Jope. And yes, totoo, no, I'm speaking more on passion and hope because hindi tinitingnan yung yung mga challenges, yung mga sinasabi na ay mahirap makisabay, mahirap makipamuhay sa mga IPs. Well, in reality, wala yung hirap na yun kasi mas mahirap yung pinagdadaanan nila. So, yun. It's really more on teaching us to love more, to love them unconditionally. So, yun po yung parang one of the reasons para nakikita ko na maging balance ang lahat.
Thank you, Sai. Now we proceed to the next question.
And I guess there's another question for you, Bob.
Oo. Batid ko pong isang hamon ang pakikilakbay sa IP. Paano po nahimok sila sa paniniwalang Katoliko kung kasama ng kultura ang kanilang paniniwala?
Yes, Brother Bok, and to Sir Danilo Duya. Sa totoo lang, no, gusto kong sagutin yung tanong na to kasi gusto ko ipaalam sa inyong lahat na hindi naging hindrance para sa akin, hindi naging mahirap yung pakikilakbay sa kanila even though nandoon yung paniniwala ng bilang isang Katoliko. Kasi for me, Catholic teachings is not just a mere principle. It is somehow the teachings that we need to live out, no? At hindi kailangan siyang i-impose the community na ganito para mas maintindihan. It's more on sa pakikipamuhay ay hayaan lumabas, no? Ilabas na atin at i-live out natin yung Catholic teachings. At kung tutuusin, wala tong pinagkaiba doon sa IP core values. The Catholic teachings is not for IP core values. Meron din kasi silang core values na which is actually the same as the values that we have as a Catholic. So, yung hamon siguro yung mga na-mention ko kanina na mga social issues na kinakaharap nila. But our values and our teachings, hindi siya yung naging hamon para makipamuhay sa mga IPs. And with Jesuit IP ministry, what I love more is hindi tinitingnan kung ano ang relihiyon mo at nandoon yung mas pagrespeto sa IP spirituality. That's why we still have rituals. That's why minsan nauuna pa yung ritual bago yung misa. So parang maparamdam sa bawat isa na hindi naman kailangan na exclusive tayo. It's more yung sinasabi nga din kanina na inclusive yung spirituality paparamdam sa komunidad. So, yun po. You're here and then kung may makausap din kayong mga IPs dito sa Bukidnon, especially those who are in partners with Jesuit IP ministry, yung pag-uusapan nila sa spirituality is not their teaching, it's not our teachings, but more on how they felt God in our mission. So,
Thank you, Sai.
It's not actually the hindrance, but it's more on the thing that inspires us, no, to be one, to be in union together, and to work together in this mission.
the
Yun po.
invitation
I hope
talaga, no,
Sir
sa
Danilo
atin,
na sagot.
sa pakikipag-ugnayan natin sa ating mga kapatid na katutubo, yung to be able to honor and celebrate their unique identity and culture, to celebrate that in the way that we serve them and accompany them, no, in their journey towards self-determination. Kaya I think that gives us really a lot of insight in how we can engage our indigenous peoples. Maraming salamat sa next question. No, we have a question for Tetet. Congratulations kay Ms. Tetet. Speakers are so inspiring. Ang tanong, when drug clients are asked to help in community activities, do they get compensated for their time and energy?
Thank you po dito, Ma'am Victoria. So, yung sa beginning po, yung parang newly move up pa sila, originally, volunteer work talaga siya. Pero meron yung iba na hired na talaga sila sa barangay. So they are paid. So yung hired na garbage collector or may tanods or may kanang community organizer na. So they get paid. But most of them, those that responded during the COVID times, volunteer work yun. Yung nakita nyo yung babae na nasa COVID facility, paid na yun siya. Employed na yun siya.
Thank you, Tetet. Actually, no, that the step towards empowerment, that they're given livelihood and work, and they're able to support their own families, napaka-crucial nun dun sa reintegration process ng ating mga kapatid na who are dealing with addiction. So maraming salamat. Next question, we have a question for Sir Ray. Sir Ray, congratulations. Proud of you. You turned out so well and so helpful. Do you have an estimate now of how many barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces PBSP is touching in 2021? This is from Sir Jerry Bulatao.
Maraming salamat. Actually, mas proud ako kay Jerry Bu. Naging ko siya, professor nung college. Huwag na lang natin sabihin anong taon. At isa siya sa mga, I think, nag-trigger sa akin na pasukin yung trabaho ko at na naging aking paglalakbay hanggang ngayon. And I'm very thankful for that. Unfortunately nga, parang we don't, if there was a way for us to cover the last 50 years, diba, and parang had the foresight to track where we were. But I guess for this year, our work, because of COVID, has been largely in NCR or even NCR Plus. And then in Cebu, Davao, and Marawi. Bakit kasama yung Marawi? Because prior to the pandemic, we made a conscious decision to help Marawi and Barb. And we wanted to really try to bring our projects there because that is also where poverty rates are among the highest. So I think moving forward, nakikita namin that there are areas where we can collaborate with other NGOs. So for example, we're working with Zuilig Family Foundation in Sarangani. We're working with different organizations in Negros Occidental to push for a nutrition alliance. We're working with, again, different organizations all over the country. No? But kasi we realized that if you look at the problem is really, problems are big and large. And yung collaboration and solidarity can also happen within and among institutions. And that's where we can really do a lot of great work if we work together with different institutions.
Thank you, Sir Ray. We've seen it, no, in this pandemic, no, the importance of collaboration, of cooperation between private and public sectors, and really, no, different organizations coming together, no, to address the problem and help our kababayan. So maraming salamat po for Sir Ray. For actually, PBSP has been that platform, no, in a lot of these initiatives. Nagiging daan para magkaisa at tumulong ang maraming organisasyon at maraming mga individual. We have a question for the three of our guests. No, this is parang medyo personal, no, kasi I'm sure it's also been very challenging. No, dealing with a lot of these problems and the demands of ministry. So, ang tanong po is, how do you balance helping others and taking care of your own needs and your own family's needs? Paano po ba ninyo naalagaan din yung sarili ninyo at ang inyong mga pamilya at nababalanse sa demands ng trabaho? So, sino pong mauuna sa akin? Sai muna siguro can answer.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Brother Bok, for the question. Um, Siguro sa akin, tanong ko din yan, no, na kung paano ko nga ba nababalance or nakakaramdam ba ako ng imbalance sa pakikipamuhay kasama or pakikilakbay sa mga IPs. Oo, totoo, may time na napapagod, na minsan kailangan ng oras para sa sarili, nami-miss yung family since I'm away from, my family or in Luzon or in Bicol. Pero yung, I don't want to romanticize this, pero because of the spirituality that I'm learning from the Jesuits, isa yun sa malaking tulong, no, and na kung paano naku-combat o nababalanse yung mga bagay-bagay dito sa pakikipamuhay sa kanila. And as a volunteer, it's also living out the core values of JVP, which is simplicity, that I don't have to have more in life, no, para maging grateful sa kung ano yung meron sa akin ngayon dito. So sometimes pumapasok sa isip ko na my batchmates are already, no, or becoming a lawyer na, tapos ako nandito pa working with the IPs. Pero yung comfort, yung peace ay not with having a lot more in life, because yung pakikipamuhay pa lang sa IPs ay yun na yung nagpapayaman sa akin at nagbibigay ng balance sa puso ko bilang si Sai. At puno ng pagmamahal yung komunidad. Sa ngayon nga, no, binabalikan ko kasi parang this is one of the few moments na, no, that I'll be able to share my experience with the IPs. And I can't help but being emotional na all through this time, it's the community who's taking care of me. No, it's our God who's taking care of me, and I don't have to worry with everything. May it be my personal or my family's needs. Ito yung call eh. Ito yung tawag sa akin ngayon. Yung parang yung may happiness na parang masasabi ko na okay ako is to see that the community is okay. No, that the community is striving to be the best version of themselves. At dumating na sa mission na to is hindi naman sa nakakalimutan yung sarili, pero yung pinanghawakan ko lang talaga is God is not leaving me in this journey alone. So I don't have to worry with my own needs. That's what I'm feeling right now, and that has been my source of strength for the past 2 years. 2 years. So, and also, yung pagmamahal sa sarili, sinasabi nila that you cannot give what you do not have. Pero if it is a genuine love that we are sharing, it will go back to us. And I guess that's already enough in this mission. So, yun po. Yun.
Thank you, Sai.
Yun yung, I guess, how I feel being balanced in the mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. Tet?
Thank you, Sai. I resonate with Sai. And actually, before the pandemic, it was really kind of a struggle. I was busier. I was spending more time outside with family. Oh, not so much with family. It's more of friends and the activities outside work. So ang daming binabalance. So there was a time sabi ko parang nababurn out na ako. So God is teaching me so much during this pandemic to really to focus on the essentials. It was hard at first na hindi ako makalabas. Sabi ko, what can I do for the program? Hindi, wala akong magawa. Nandito lang ako. Pero it was God telling me, pause. spend time with me ay more important more than the mission. Establish your relationship with me first. It was that and from there, it stemmed ng bitaw, seek him first and um, he will put things, yung mga needs ko afterwards. So, yun, parang, tapos ngayon, while here, with this, narrow down. So, sabi ko, bitaw no yung mga numerous night outs with friends, pwede naman palang makat. I can still feel connected to them even with a phone call. So that, ngayon parang family na lang. I spend more time with family and that's very much already what I need. And then when I go out, it's with labang. And yan, yung parang God arranges it ba na it's still balanced. So may time ako for my family, my time for myself. I set that on a daily basis. And then for labang. So may structure pa din para hindi ko makalimutan din yung family and self, tapos sila, and then God. Yan lang po.
Thank you, Ted. And lastly, si Sir Ray.
Okay na yun. What else do I add after those two inspiring answers? I think personally,
Si Sir Ray has a family kasi yung ating two other guests are single women. So, yung perspective ni Sir Ray as a family man.
Well, personally, sa akin, ang definition ko ng balance, hindi naman ibig sabihin 50-50. In fact, parang it's never 50-50. May mga panahon talaga na umaarangkada ka, may mga panahon na nagme-minor o nagbabagal ka sa isang bagay ng buhay mo. Life stages din, sa karanasan ko, may panahon sa buhay ko na kaya kong ibuhos trabaho. May panahon din na ang tawag sa akin ay mag-minor sa trabaho at bigyan ng pansin. Hindi lang yung pamilya ko, kundi yung sarili ko rin, di ba, na sinasabi ni Sai. And tama si Tete, palang sa akin, blessing and grace for us to recognize when to slow down and when to run fast. Kasi mahirap naman pag patawid ka ng intersection tapos tatakbo ka ng mabilis. Diba? Or kaharap mo ay pader, tatakbo ka ng mabilis. O nagkakaroon na ng sunog, nagbabagal ka. Diba? So, parang sa akin, blessing yun eh. Yun talaga dapat hinihingi yun sa dasal na we will be able to discern when to decide and what to decide on. Finally, for me also is my guiding principle also is the principle of integrity. Parang ang definition sa akin ng integrity is what dapat buo ka, di ba? So whatever it is that breaks you and shatters you, actually can break your integrity is something that you should stop doing. So if your work or even your personal life shatters your integrity, then maybe you should stop doing it. So yun yung, again, it takes grace to be able to know that. Diba? But for me, that's how I try to quote unquote balance. And I'm not always successful. I think I am also filled or blessed to have a family who either understands, diba, when I have to work, or a family that will remind me that I have to be at home.
Thank you, Sir Ray. Maraming salamat po. No? Truly, it's been inspiring and hindi pa nga tayo nanananghalian pero busog na tayo no, sa mga kwento at pagbabahagi ng ating mga panauhin ngayong umaga. Just a quick and last, our final question. So this is parang fast talk. No? So in a word or phrase, what is your dream for the sector that you serve? What continues to be a dream that inspires you to continue working and serving this particular community that you are engaged in. So simulan naman natin. Let's start with Tetet and then Sir Ray and then Sai. So word or phrase?
Word or phrase. Dream that parang inspired siya sa question ni Sir Jerry Bolatao din na can this be adopted on the national level? It's a dream for us know that even the government and the church in the national level will see the need for a daily encounter with them. So a real change. It's not just a once a week, 1 hour. It's not effective to deal with an addiction. So the reality of change would need a daily and real connection. Real. Sige, that would be the word, I think. Connection. Connection would counter addiction, and connection can be done on a daily basis.
Thank you, Tetet. Kuya Ray?
Sa akin, siguro tatlong salita, inclusive, equitable, and accountability.
Thank you, Sir Ray. And lastly, kay Sai.
Yes, I got 4 words and 2 phrases. First is one kapawa, one family, one kapawa. Kapawa means light, and that no kapawa left behind. So, or no IP left behind. That's my dream. That's our dream, not only my dream, but our dream for the community, for the IPs. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Sai. Thank you, Tetet, Kuya Ray. It's been an inspiring morning for all of us. And I think seeds have been planted, no? Especially for all of us participants. We're from different communities. We're engaged in different works, no? And ministries. But I guess the invitation to really live out this teaching of Pope Francis, no, to be in solidarity with others, to promote social friendship, no, and fraternity. Given your examples, no, will inspire us and animate us to move towards action. The initial plan was to have a breakout rooms for sharing, but given the limited time that we have at this point, I just like to remind everyone that number one is let's help SLB and ICSI by answering the online evaluation forms. So the link is flashed now on your screens. So you may capture the image or go directly to the link. That is also, you may request an e-certificate of participation in that form for those who will need a certificate of participation. So malaking tulong po ito sa amin so that we can improve our future webinars and fora that we will organize in the future. Next is in lieu of sharing session, gagawin natin to, uso naman to ngayon, lalo na sa online education, we will make it asynchronous. So at your own time, at wherever you are, please, we have this Padlet page, no? It's a website. There are 2 questions that hopefully you can help us answer. First is, from everything that we've heard this morning, what are the things that touched you, no, or moved you from the sharings of Sai, Tetet, and Kuya Ray? And important thing really is the point of this whole morning is to discern how to respond. So how are we moved to respond, to take action, and to be able to, in our own little ways, live out Fratelli Tutti? No? Being able to serve the marginalized, the poor, being able to accompany them and journey with them towards empowerment and towards greater, no, inclusive development. So yan po yung link. Just a quick explanation how to go about sa mga hindi pa po familiar sa Padlet. how to use Padlet. Very simple. So you go to the link and then this will appear. This page will appear. And please check on the bottom right part of the page, there's a plus sign. So click the plus sign. That means you will add a response to the question. And then there's a text box that will appear. You can type already your answer on the text box. So, and then click enter afterwards. You may also, so ito naman, if you're using your mobile device, this is how it will appear. So there's again a plus sign, and then you just have to type again your response and then click post. Yan. There's also a way for us to affirm other people's responses. Pwede po nating pusuan. So makikita nyo po dun sa mga text box, my heart. So if you click the heart, that's our way of also adopting that response to ourselves. So maganda rin pong to also read the responses of the others who have participated in this morning's webinar. So ayan po. And lastly, some just really words of gratitude for everyone. Maraming salamat po for joining us. We are, at one point, we were around 70 plus in our Zoom meeting, and then there are a lot of people also who joined us on live stream on Facebook. So thank you for participating and for listening and for being with us in trying to discern and reflect on Fratelli Tutti and being inspired really by the experiences and the encounters of our three special guests. At this point, as we began with an opening prayer, we again turn to the Lord. Given the fruits that we have harvested from this morning session, that we may truly be inspired and moved to follow Him and respond in addressing the many needs around us, especially in helping our brothers and sisters who are most in need. So I ask everyone to just have a moment of silence. Perhaps we can begin by just looking back at the past morning and naming 1, 2, or 3 fruits of our reflection and of our discernment this morning. Listening to Sai, listening to Tetet and Kuya Ray. What are the things that we will bring with us, mga babaunin natin mula sa umagang ito, that hopefully we can also offer to the Lord as our way to respond to Him. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we thank you for this very fruitful and meaningful morning. Thank you for our guests who share their experiences, Sai, Tetet, and Kuya Ray, that you may continue to bless their work, bless their desires, and accompany them as they accompany others, especially our indigenous peoples, those that are recovering from drug addiction, and the many poor that PBSP has been accompanying and helping in their different programs and projects. Lord, we also ask for the grace, the courage, the generosity to also respond to the many needs around us in our own little ways, that we may be your presence to them, and that we may allow them to experience your love, your grace in the little things that we are able to do. Inspire us, accompany us, guide us, and direct us. We offer all of our desires, hopes, efforts for your greater glory. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Maraming salamat po muli, at hanggang sa susunod po nating forum. Ito muli ang Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan at ang JJC ICSI. At naway naging makabuluhan, malaman, mayaman ang araw na ito para sa atin. Patuloy po nating bigyang papuri ang Panginoon sa ating mga gawa at paglingkuran ang ating kapwa.